Hey everyone, it's Jessica here for Thermal Web Design Team, and I was in need of some graduation cards, so I'm going to show you how to make a couple of those today. So I have pulled out some Elle Studio Jumbo number stamps, and I'm just going to go ahead and stamp the year on here. I have a couple kids that have graduated high school here that I need to make cards for, so I'm just going to stamp 2024 on here. It's a little bit out of order, and I know I'm going to make a couple of you cringe right now doing this ombre effect right with my stamp pads because contamination. But you know what? I don't care. I use the heck out of my stamp pads, and I'm sure I contaminate them all the time, and it's never really caused an issue for me. So I'm not worried about it. And they're usually used in mixed media for me anyways. So if anything did happen to them, it doesn't really matter. I'm a really grungy scrapbooker normally and card maker. So I'm not worried about any contamination there. So I'm just stamping here using a couple different colors for each of the reds and the blues. The red, you can't really tell the difference. I did use two different colors, but they're so close together that it's hard to tell the difference of them, but it's okay. I'm going to actually do something to them to make them pop a little bit more yet. I'm going to stamp this outline on them using some black archival ink. These particular stamp sets come with the outline, and you can purchase the solid shape as well. So I've purchased those, and I have the die cut for them also, so that the dies for them also, so that I can run them through my manual die cutting machine and cut them all out so I don't have to fussy cut them, which you guys know that I hate. So anytime I have to fussy cut them and they make a die for it, I am on board. I've also grabbed this Simon Says Stamps stamp set. This one is a congrats grad balloons type stamp set, and I am just stamping a few of the graduation caps because I'm actually going to color those in a little bit later in this video and use them on my card as well. I wanted my year to have some extra sparkle here, so I'm just taping it down to my glass mat using some of the pixie tape, and I'm just gonna actually cut this apart. I know I used my my knife on my glass mat directly, but again, not worried about these things. And I'm grabbing my spatula here. This is the Stencil Pal, and it comes in a 2-pack. You get 2 of them for one price, and I love these because it goes on so smooth. I've just got my stencil here by Honeybee Stamps. I'm just going to use my magnets to actually hold my stencil down in place while I just apply that medium. I'm using the Deco Foil Transfer Gel Duo today, and this is going to dry clear on top of here, but I'm just using a spatula to get it out of the pot onto my stencil pal and applying it in kind of some smooth motions. It goes on super smooth with that stencil pal. I absolutely love it, and it's great for a big area like this. So I just put the excess back in the pot and cleaned off my stencil right away so that I didn't have any dried excess on there. And then I've grabbed my fuse laminating system here. So I've got it heating up right now, and I am just going to pull out my dies that coordinate with my numbers here. I just need a 2, a 0, and a 4. So I'm going to go ahead and pull those out, and I realized that I haven't actually used all of these yet, so I had to cut some of them apart using my metal little clippers here. So I've got my numbers, I've got my manual die cutting machine. I like to use my machine with my magic mat, so my setup may look a little bit different from yours, but I have the magic mat, and then I place my paper down here, and then my dies, and then my clear plate, and I do have a couple sheets of cardstock glued together as a shim because the magic mat seems a little bit thinner than the plates that are the clear glass type plates or plastic. So I just use a couple sheets of cardstock in there. Now, what I ran into with this Duo Transfer Gel, after this dried, it takes about 45 minutes to dry. I actually left mine dry for a couple days because I was really super busy around here. So what I found out was I thought it would be best to run it through and die cut these first, but actually they're really sticky, and they really wanted to stick to my dies. So I found the best way was actually to foil these first and get rid of that sticky residue residue on there from the Duo Gel, and then I'm going to do my die cutting on the rest of these afterwards. So I'm just going to go ahead and run these through my fuse laminating system here. This video is sped up a little bit, but you can see this going through in real time just when I'm gathering my other foil and getting the other one prepared and ready. I love that ombre of the blues. I think it looks so beautiful. Our school colors are red, white, and blue, so this is just perfect for these cards. I've pulled out these color harmony packs in the blue, the shades of blue and shades of red, and I just love them. So I've only had to use one sheet of each, and as you can see, I still had some left over. And then here are my other foiled pieces from the red card. I'm just going to go ahead and cut that last number 2 out here. And again, it does work a lot better whenever you foil that first and then die cut after. So I've got my blue ones here. As you can see, that's what it looks like when it comes out foiled. And then just going to run these through with my dies to finish cutting out these numbers as well. So I'm going to have one card red and one card blue. Those are, again, our school colors, so it just goes perfectly. And then I've got my graduation caps set aside here. I'm going to pull out some Copic markers and actually color them in to match these colors of the numbers. And then I'm going to pop one of the hats on each card on one of the numbers. I'm kind of undecided which number, probably one of the 2s or maybe even the 4 at the end, but we'll see how it looks after I get all this put together. I've grabbed some white card bases and a couple extra scraps of white. I'm just die cutting this here using this scallop die. It's a waffle flower die, I think, and it just cuts a nice scallop shape. I could have left it like that. I wanted it to just be a white background, white on white, but I wanted it to have a little extra pop. So I'm actually going to run this through with an embossing folder. This is just a Cuttlebug. It's like a little dotty embossing folder that I have in my stash. I actually don't even know what it's called. It's so old, but it just has some little dots, and I actually messed up the first one that I did, but it's okay. I cut a couple extra ones just to play around with, so I'm just gonna run 2 more through here real quick and cut them out. And then these ones I will make sure that I line up properly whenever I run them through with my embossing folder. So I've got both of these ran through, just cutting out that scallop die first, and then I did my embossing second. And I'm kind of switching plates back and forth because my magic mat I don't typically use with my embossing folder. It's a different height, and I just don't want to mess around with it and try to figure out the depths that I need to make it tight enough to run through. And I know what system works whenever I do the embossing folder with my other regular platform, so that's why I switched those. And I always do my die cutting first and then my embossing folders after, because if you emboss first and then do your die cutting, it's actually going to smush out a little bit of your embossing. So I didn't want to make any of that happen today, so I am just finishing this up, but by gluing these card fronts, or gluing these pieces to my card fronts, and I'm just pulling out some of the easy tear tape. You guys, it's not that difficult to peel off this backing. I just make it look super difficult because I have super thick nails right now. I've been getting my nails done, and it just helps protect my natural healthy nails and makes them really thick, so it's really hard for me to peel that backing off without using tweezers or something. But had I not had my nails painted, I would have been able to peel that off no problem. So you guys can just watch me struggle through this. I'm going to peel the backing off of this one, and then that will add this bubbly kind of front piece to my other card, my little red one. So I'm excited about how these are looking. They're coming together nicely. I have my graduation caps here. There's all my numbers. That's pretty much where they're going to go. That's how it's going to look. And I'm just going to go ahead and pull out these Copics. I have some stickers here that ended up on my desk. As you can see, my little girl threw them at me. So I don't know where she found those. Those are in my stash somewhere, but she loves digging through my supplies while I'm scrapbooking, and crafting in general, and just playing along with little things here. So she's in my room today with me while I finish coloring these. I've got a blue cap here. I've used 3 different shades of blue, and then I've got a red one here that I've used 3 different shades of red. So I'll pop the colors down below in the description for you, because I can't remember offhand what each number of the Copic sketch markers that I used, but I will put them in the description for you in case you're curious of what numbers they are. And I'll also link down below everything that I've used today. So if you want to grab anything from the shop, from Therm, you have all those links at your fingertips that you can just click on them, and it'll take you right directly to the products that I've used. So I've got this stamp set here. Again, I'm pulling out, it has some cute little phrases on here. The one says, I think it says, I'm proud of you or so proud of you. But it's got some cute little phrases. So I pulled those out that I'm going to stamp with some Versamark ink on this black textured cardstock. And then I'm going to emboss it with some white embossing powder. And I'm actually going to die cut these as well using some little banner dies by Elle Studio again. So I'm going to go ahead and pull out this Versamark. Don't look at my ink pad. It's well loved, and I have contaminated that as well. As you can see, they make a re-inker for it, but I haven't even bought it because I'm like, you know what? My ink pad is so messed up that I need to just buy a new ink pad at this point. But again, I'm not worried about it. I'm super messy around here, and it's okay. My room is completely tore apart right now. It is a gigantic mess. I've been purging some supplies and getting rid of some things. I see a car ended up on my desk on the bottom left from my little girl, so I'll set that aside in a moment. Looks like a little monster truck of some type. And yeah, so I'm just going to heat this up with my heat embossing gun here. And then I will make this into some embossed goodness for you. I just love how that looks. I love embossing things and the way that that looks, and it just raises it up and makes it look so neat. So I'm going to go ahead and run these through my Big Shot machine to die cut them into those little banner shapes. And then we'll get those adhered to my card fronts using some Easy Tear tape. You're going to laugh here in a second when I pull up my Easy Tear tape, because I use one, I pretty much use the same size all the time for everything. I use the 1/2 inch size. It's my favorite. And it's a little bit too big for these, but you know what? It still fits and it still works. It covers the whole thing, and I'm going to use it. I do have a thinner size in my stash here, but I'm not going to pull that out. I'm going to use the one that I always use and the one that's on my desk right now. So I'm going to do it the hard way, and I'm going to cover every little bit of this little banner strip. So it is quite funny, but I have these little shaker strips that I'm pulling out now. Before I add my little banner pieces on, I'm going to add these shaker strips to the back of my numbers. I just like the size of these. These are a little bit thinner, and they're nice for popping things up like this that are letters or thinner items like this. So it gives you some dimension. And even though I'm not making a shaker pocket or anything like that, I love using them to pop up letters and thinner items like this. So I'm just going to continue adding these little strips and pieces onto all of my little numbers here. And I'm going to speed this up for you here in a second so you don't have to watch me put this 3D tape down on all of my little numbers. But yeah, that's basically what I do. And I love these shaker strips. They're a really, really good tool to have in your stash. I'm just pulling out some smaller 3D foam squares by Gina K. These are the small ones. I can't remember the size. Again, I'll link everything below in the description. I think they're like 1/4 of an inch, or that sounds wrong in my brain, but I feel like that's really what they are. But that seems like that's really small for 1/4 of an inch. I don't know. Anyways, I am pulling out the smaller Gina K squares to put on my hat, but they were actually kind of like popping up off of my number, and I didn't like how that looked. So I just pulled out some of the Ultra Bond liquid adhesive and put some of that down on the bottom part of that hat. That way everything was the same dimension. And then here's where I had the funny moment of my little banner pieces. I could have grabbed that thinner Easy Tear tape, but again, I've used my ultimate favorite happy 1/2 inch size. So there's my finished cards. That's what they look like. I love these. They're super simple, so great idea if you have graduation parties coming up, and it's just super simple and easy to make. So feel free to copy this idea if you would like. So happy crafting, you guys. I hope I've inspired you to create something today, and thanks and have a great day.